Good evening, how's everyone?
We're good.
All right, thank you guys for coming out. Contrary to popular belief, I want to stop a rumor now. It wasn't my idea to cancel schools, okay? I would much rather be there, but the governor has spoken, and you know, with the safety of all in mind, this is kind of almost like Friday for me, although I got several things I'll be working on tomorrow. So thank you guys for coming out. We really appreciate it. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Randall Garrett, and I'm the proud superintendent of Lexington School District 3. This is my 4th year serving in this role, so I'm excited about it. It's a wonderful place. We moved up here, my family and I, about 4 years ago, and we've loved every point of it. Talking about my 4th year here, every year since I've been here, and I can never remember this happening at any time since I was a child ever. In the fall, we've had to cancel school for weather-related events. Until the flood about 4 years ago, I don't ever remember doing that in the fall, and every year since something like that has happened. So hope I did not jinx it, but that's all 4 for 4. So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to come and present, as Joe Friday would say, he would say just the facts. This is the reason I'm here. I want you to know what we're looking at doing, what we discussed, what the decisions the board has made, and I want you to know why they've made those decisions. Just to give you a background, nobody woke up, had an epiphany and said, you know, we need to renovate this school or we need to build a new school. We're going to talk about what led to those decisions. So this is just information. This is fact finding so you can be informed. So thank you for coming. What you see before you today, a couple years ago, about a year and a half ago, we asked our faculty to pick a word that they felt described our district. And these little word clouds, you've probably seen them before. The bigger word is, the more often that word comes up. And the 2 words that jump out at me are awesome and family. I think that says a lot about our district, the people that live here, the people that work here, and the students that go to our schools. And I think it says a lot about our community. So I think this is important because what we're talking about is this awesome family. And you see other stuff being progressive and growing. So all of those things kind of lead into this conversation on today. This has become my new favorite picture. This picture was taken last year. Who knows when this picture was taken? Anybody can guess to tell me? I know you know. Palmetto's finest. Our elementary school last year applied, and on their very first try, which is rare, very, very rare, won the Palmetto's Finest Award. And I think that says a lot about our schools. It says a whole lot about our schools. But I also think it says a lot about our community. I believe that we have an excellent story that needs to be told. And if we don't tell it, others will. And it may not be the accurate story to be told. I look at these faces and I look at this and say, this is why I do what I do. So even on the days I'm frustrated, even on the days that have a lot of things going on, and you might get faces that are so exciting, and that's what keeps me moving. I always laugh at this young lady here, I don't know her. I think she said, I wish I was in math class. But everybody else was so excited, as I'm sure she was too. So I think, what better legacy can we leave for a group of students now that some are going into the middle school, et cetera, than to ensure their safety and their educational well-being. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. One, put this thing here. I challenge our faculty at open in-service to what was called a Panther Promise. Some of you may have seen one of the videos, a couple of the videos that we showed. We had a little bit of fun, but we got serious, and everything had a purpose. And my Panther Promise, I said, go out and tweet it or put it on Facebook or whatever it is you do, is what is your commitment? What is your passion? And what are you going to do for our students in our district? And this has been my passion and my promise forever. That every decision that I make, I promise will be for the best interest of our students, the best interest of our students. I know through multiple meetings that our board shares that same thought, that same process. They probably hadn't tweeted it out, but I've met with them enough to know. So with that said, I'm going to have one more slide before I get in and start really talking about the guts of the presentation. A lot of people, if you don't still have kids in our district, you may not know a lot of the things that are going on. We've had a lot of changes and updates and improvements over the years, and some things have just been traditionally good. We've just done them for a very long time and continue to do them well. But if you look up here, obviously you see Palmetto's Finest. We're very excited about that. One administrator described that as being our most recent state championship team. That was a picture of our most recent state champion. So I love hearing that. We usually use that when we think about sports. But as far as instruction and academics, that's pretty much what that was for us. look at dual enrollment, where our students have the opportunity to come in and take college courses. And not just take college courses. They don't pay for those courses. They don't pay for the technology they use. They don't pay for the books. If you tried to put a child through college, it's amazing how much it costs. And you think you pay for college, and he says, I need these 4 books, $300-400, so you get that. Montessori program is just taking off at our primary school. E21. E21 is that dual enrollment, but students can leave here with an associate's degree. We're very proud about that. And you see the CATE certifications, career and technology education. I try to be careful with my acronyms. Sometimes in education we throw a lot of acronyms at you, but our career and technology education is so important. And the certifications that these students are getting out so they can leave and they can actually be work ready for those that choose to go directly into work, or college ready for those that would choose to make another path. I want to start with our primary school. There are 2 schools that are going to be primarily impacted by this proposed referendum, okay? But before we get there, about 2 years ago, the board sat down and they commissioned a facility study. They said, we want to see what we need to do for our district long-term as far as facilities. Because we can continue to do fixes here and fixes there, but we need to have a long-term plan. And as part of that plan, we had a study, and many of you have probably read about it. It was in the paper about 2 or 3 times. But in that study, lots of things came out. But one of the primary pressing needs that we saw was safety. Safety was our #1 thing. Next was followed by our roofs and our HVAC and a laundry list of other things. And you'll see some of those things. But we had to take a look and say, with the money that we currently have available to us, what are the things that we could do? And we started making some moves on some of those. With safety being the forefront, we went to our middle school, our primary, elementary and middle school, and reinforced the entrances to those doors. And if you've been there, you can see at one point in time you could walk right through those doors and go anywhere. Right now we've stopped that. I don't think we have any pictures of it, but we have some pictures that we'll share with you. That was safety. It needed to be done. We went and we have access for all of our teachers and employees to an ID card so that they can get in the doors that they need to. If they take a kid on the playground now, they don't have to slide a rock in the door to hold it open, because if you forget to get that rock, that's definitely a safety concern. We fixed that. So those are some of the things that we have done. Also, we're also putting a new roof on the middle school and changing the HVAC. That we're able to do out of what we call our 8% money. And what that means is that's the amount of money that the board can borrow without going to the taxpayers. But we're very limited on that amount of money. Just over $3 million, okay? And that sounds like a lot if you're talking about your house. If you're talking about a district or construction, that's a whole lot of money. I'm sorry, it's not a lot of money. All right, here at the primary school, here's a picture of the outside of that school. And just looking, taking a look at what we're talking about with the site concerns. If you've been over there, the parking is definitely a problem. The parking lot is very, very small. And when you go in, there's like a place over on the left where a lot of cars park, and I see this big piece of granite about this high sticking out the ground, and I think it's like an iceberg where most of it is probably underground or somebody would have moved it. Very dangerous, somebody could really damage their car on it. Dedicated loop for fire access to get around that building, that's definitely a safety concern. Parent pickup, stack. How many of you ever did carpool at the primary school? Rolled through a carpool? Okay. Those are the people that either smiling or shaking their heads. How many of you rode by the primary school at dismissal in the morning? It is quite a challenge. And trying to get that traffic off the road, trying to do something about that, we think is very important as well. Here's an aerial view of our current primary school. And you can see here, this is the parking lot. The people often park here. There are 2 cars there on the grass. They're usually here. There are cars, you can't see it down below this tree line. Usually if there's any program that parents have, because the younger the kids are, the more parents are going to come out to the school, to the different programs that they have. Some of the things that came back that we need to look at in this particular facility, we talked about the roofing and HVAC. That would need to be done just because of the age of this particular school. Updating of plumbing fixtures, sprinkler systems, LED lighting, upgrading lighting over time. And some of that, fortunately, with new lighting, you get some of that money back in savings because the lighting and those types of things have just changed so much over time. Upgrades in power and technology. For either school, the primary or this school, when they built this school, I would gamble that there may have been possibly 1 computer in the school, maybe none. And you're shaking your head no. Now, in this school and at the primary school, in almost every grade except for maybe the kindergartens, we're 1-to-1 with technology. And in those classes, I think we got other classes in kindergarten with 1-to-2. So think about the infrastructure that's needed to support that and to continue to have the power upgrades and the Wi-Fi. So infrastructure is a big concern at that particular school. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong button. Upgrades on hardware, on doors and windows, visitor and faculty parking, separating a bus loop. You know, schools that are built today, they will not, we use acronym OSF, the Office of School Facilities. They're out of the State Department of Education. And they won't allow you to build a school anymore if you're not gonna have a dedicated loop for bus traffic to separate it from car traffic. There's some practices there at that school, at dismissal, that I don't really like, but I know that's the only way based upon the small area they had to pick those kids and get that traffic off of the highway that we have to do. So I think it's important for us to take a look at what we're doing there. And also, if you go into the primary school, if you go in this front door right here, even if you go through these new doors that we put up for security, you have to walk down this hall and around the corner to get to that main office. If you've been in there, that's quite a walk. So even after you buzzed in, if you're a pretty good person, you pass all our checks and get in, there's a point you have to walk down this hall and actually disappear out of sight from this receptionist, and we really make an assumption that you're going where you're supposed to go. So how can we possibly relocate that office area to get it closer to these doors that we just installed? So I talked about a few of these. Here's traffic in the morning, here's traffic in the afternoon. As you can see, it's kind of hard to see here, but we do have pictures in the back. These pictures I'm showing you afterwards, you want to stick around, ask some additional questions, look at these pictures we haven't posted. But right here, you can see the buses. They came in on this same loop. Last year, we had a car that broke down in this loop. That's the only access in and out. Fortunately, it was in a position that they could push it out of the way. It didn't cause a major concern, or luckily the fire department, no one had to come in because that's the only entrance and exit we have to that school. Right here, this is the media center. What's missing? Walls. There are no walls in the media center. When this school was built, the open classroom concept was pretty popular at that time. So the walls weren't there. But I've been to meetings at that school, and even more so than the meetings, if you got a class full of kindergartners in there, and I've seen the movie Kindergarten Cop, so I know it can be quite a challenge getting kindergartners on task. So when you get them on task, if there's a conversation that's coming down the hallway or a maintenance guy that's pulling a cart with a squeaky wheel, it's a big distraction. So have an opportunity to improve that. And also, those doors up here, that's although we've got them secured now, that's the entrance to the primary school. But they have to come in, down these stairs, and around the corner to get to the current main office. So then I talk about relocating that office, that is definitely a safety concern as well. Now, we're going to look at some conceptual designs of what that may look like. And I say conceptual because at this point in time, this is not passed. So we don't want to spend too much in the planning phases if it may not happen. So conceptually, this is what this is going to look like based upon the information, our needs, and et cetera. And if we're able to move forward on this, well, definitely we want to get the teachers and administrators more involved to be more specific at each of these spaces. But site access circulation. Right now, this road comes in and it comes about to right here. It stops here and it loops around to here. Okay? What we want to do is to take that loop out farther to get more traffic off the road and bring it farther this way to this other loop and bring it up here. This is the covered awning we saw on the previous slide that came out this way, this direction. What we want to do is take that awning and actually turn it this direction. That way, the cars don't have to make that turn, and we could have more students loading and unloading right here. Okay, it will change the facade of that school a little bit. It will look different because that covered walkway won't go straight out. And that walkway, whenever I'm walking that walkway, I notice that the farther out I go, the closer it gets to the ground. I'm ducking by the time I get there. So this will be a little bit more consistency going sideways. Student drop-off. Here we have a dedicated area. Well, student drop-off is here. A dedicated area for bus transportation too. And I talked about that emergency fire lane. If they need to get around, we can do this. This can also be used for deliveries as well. So that cuts down on some of the traffic, mixing the buses with the carpool and also for delivery traffic as well. A new media center. I'm going to show another slide, but media center would be larger than our current media center. Why is that important? Our primary school is our largest school. So when that school was built, it wasn't built for the number of students that it's now serving. So to be able to not just get a new improved media center, but a larger one is important. A new cafeteria, same thing. It needs to be somewhat larger. When that school was built, they didn't have the number of students that are there now. And although we've added on to that school, we've added classrooms, but these core spaces like media center, cafeteria, it's difficult to add on to a space like that. So we're going to talk about converting those into other spaces. New administration area, bringing that up to the front of the school. New PE area, there's a multi-purpose room there. We're looking at about moving that to the current cafeteria. We'll look at that. Having 2 multi-purpose rooms. PE is taught in a multi-purpose room. We have 1 multi-purpose room. The second one is taught on stage. It's not a very good place for teaching and learning for our students, okay? Now if you have something in there, they gotta go move the hoops and kickballs and all that stuff to use the stage for another space. Parking, definitely a lot more parking. This is the existing parking lot. We're paving all this to add parking here. And that's gonna be a net gain of at least 6 classes. I think on my count it's 7, but I'm gonna say 6, just in case I had miscounted. The front of the school, possibly. You can see this is the awning that was coming out forward from this point here. Still leaving in some of this wood to kind of soften up the aesthetics of it a little bit. But as opposed to having out front, we can bring this awning across here. And what this does, instead of these cars making a turn here, these cars can continue here, and we can load more cars at a time. We don't have to cross over in front of cars, in order to load, which is a safety concern of ours. And we will have these pictures for you to see afterwards too. We have a few of them to show you here. All right, here is a closer look at what we just talked about. All right, coming into the school here, our main entrance, we talked about changing this, turning that awning around. This is currently a classroom that is used for a health room. So that should really be converted to a teaching space, so, or to some other space. So what right now, taking this area, converting this into the new main office there. Remember the new main office, we came in around the corner here. Moving that main office here, having a health room here, so we're not using the entire classroom, but an actual health room with a restroom and everything that we need in a health room in a school. If we're moving the main office from here, this is an opportunity for have a state-of-the-art art classroom. Our art classroom is currently across the hall, but bringing that art classroom here in that old main office area, so we've added a space. That's a space, a new teaching space. What about the old art area? We want to convert that area into a guidance counselor office, a place for guidance counselors to meet, psychologists, social workers. Schools have changed so much over the past 40 some odd years that we really try to almost be all things to all people. So we have to offer these services to our students. And although we might not have a psychologist in each of our schools, when a psychologist goes to that school and needs to meet, they need a private area to be able to do that. So that's really difficult to do in our current circumstances. So right now, our current guidance counselor is in a classroom right here. That's a teaching space that has been freed up by moving that person into an office. This is the current media center. We can turn this into 2 regular sized classrooms and a smaller classroom here. It can be used for a classroom or it can be used for a meeting space. Why are small classrooms important? Oftentimes, if you have someone that may teach speech, you really don't want to give them a full 800 square foot classroom. You can, but there may be a bigger class that needs to use that particular place. Right now, we have people teaching those courses, and sometimes they teach them in an office space, which really does not give enough room to get 5 or 6. They don't have a lot of kids, but if you got 5 or 6 kids in an office, it can be very, very difficult. Over here, this is the existing cafeteria. I talked about PE being taught on the stage area right now. When remodeling this current multi-purpose room, which is back here, we're going to get 2 multi-purpose rooms here, each of which will be larger than our current multi-purpose room. And in the middle here is a petition that it will be closed during the day when they're teaching, but if they need to go in here, they need to have a program, they need to use that stage, we can still open that petition up after hours and use the stage in there. So that's not a space that's going away. We've converted that space, the stage is still there. This kitchen area in the cafeteria, we have 2 more classrooms that are here, and converting a converted classroom space here, which would have been in the existing kitchen also. New to this building, new cafeteria here, and a new media center here, cafeteria and kitchen. So what it does is, you can see, it brings the safety up here, which is our #1 thing. Parents come in here, this door, which we installed, remains. So instead of coming through this door and coming down the hall here, they come through this door here, and they enter into the main office area. They can sign in, scan their ID, and just as they are now, they'll buzz into the remainder of the building. All these doors can remain locked. There's one entrance in, there's one entrance out, okay? Moving on, next slide here. Okay, if you're standing here, this is this courtyard area that I really do like. Buses drop off here, kids can enter into the cafeteria. That's good because we want all of our kids. We have universal breakfast. All our kids can eat at the primary elementary school without paying. If we follow them through that cafeteria, they're probably more likely to take advantage of that. So I think that's a very good thing for our kids. But this area here can be used as an outside dining area. This plate here is covered. It can be a play area. It could be one day the art class goes out, or an English teacher goes out, or kids go out and collect with magnifying classes and just have an outdoor learning area. So we think that is good. But if you're standing out here and looking back at this, this is what that view would look like, or could look like. Over here on the right, this is the cafeteria there. This is the covered area I talked about. And this is the media center. And I always add this disclaimer. That is not a tree in the media center. It looks like a tree. That is actually a reflection of this tree. That's how good this software is they use. So don't say they got a tree when you see the media center, but so it's just a pretty good effect there. So there's a price tag that comes with that for the renovations on that primary school. That price tag is almost $18 million. Okay. Now I'm not going to talk too much about that price tag now because I have another price tag to show you. We're going to come back at the end and we're going to talk about those. Okay. But for this price tag, what do we get? We got all the stuff that we saw done on that first slide. HVAC, we got roofing, we got some more teaching spaces, and most importantly, I think, is the safety has increased. It's gotten a lot better, especially with relocating that main office. Also in that main office area, even closer to health rooms and those types of places. So we're going to come back and take a look at this. Next, this building looks familiar. This is the door that you just walked through. In my opinion, I think one thing is missing here. There's really no definitive entrance to this school. If somebody comes here and they're a visitor and they park with the parking lot, which is way away from the school, they may not know that if you walk up through here, that that's the entrance to the school. A lot of people have come and they've gone to the side because there's an awning on the side where the bus is put out, and sometimes they think that may be the main entrance. Right here, also in this building, a vocational building, and when it was built in 1976, we call that now our CAPE building. My career in technology education, and just the courses that are offered in that CAPE building have changed so much over the years than from traditionally when this school was initially built. We have a fine arts center. I heard there was a rumor that we were tearing that fine arts center down. That is not true. We're not tearing that fine arts center down. As a matter of fact, what we hope to be able to do, what we want to do, is be able to use those spaces in the back that are currently the band room and the course room and give more dressing room space. We know that is dearly needed at that particular location. But that building will definitely remain. Here's an aerial view of that building. You can see how big this particular footprint is when you compare it to the primary school over here. Some of the same things that need to be done. Roofing, insulation, HVAC replacement, upgrades on plumbing, power for technology. Every student in this school now has a Chromebook. Existing restrooms and accessibility standards. If you get a chance when I walk in the restrooms, if you graduated from this school, they probably look the same. They may have a new mirror, but they definitely need to be updated. Interior finishes, faculty and visitor parking, soft grades to football, softball, and baseball fields, and auxiliary gym. I don't know if they're still building high schools with just one gym. They may be. Maybe there's some districts that are. But with so many things going on, especially in the spring and winter, we don't just have a basketball team. We have a varsity and a junior varsity boys and a varsity and a junior varsity girls. In the spring, when you have a rainy day, when people have to come inside and practice, they have multiple locations. But also, when those teams need to practice at the same time. When there's a student that doesn't have a driver's license, like my kids, and you practice the late practice, and your late practice doesn't start at 5:30, that means 7:30, 8 o'clock parents are picking up kids, but not just that. That's that much later. Kids are getting home to work on homework and the truly important things. Also, I mentioned in this case, in the Fine Arts Center that stage, we do have 2 classrooms out there. We have the gym here, we have the CAPE building here. And on this school, more so than any other, on this campus, more so than any other campus, safety is a bigger concern. I mentioned earlier that at the primary, elementary, and middle schools, we added new secure entrances. Nobody asked, but you may have wondered or you may know, why did we do that at the high school? Well, we really couldn't. You came through one set of doors when you walked into this building today. That's the set we left open. But there are about 22 sets of doors, or 22 doors on this campus. And we have to leave most of those doors open all the time. Because kids, you came in this building, the kids have come out of here to go to band, the kids have come out of here, here to go to PE, the kids have come out of here to go to the K building. There's a door here that's open. There's a door here that's open because you have to come out of this door to get into our fire safety class. Kids are going to the gym, they have to get in there. There's just so many doors that have to stay open. And it's a challenge. So we spent X amount of dollars to put a new secure entrance here. What about those other entrances that we have to pay for? And once you do that, you have to have somebody demand them. You saw a desk up there. Once somebody gets in there, you have to have somebody there who can scan them in, check their ID, and those types of things. And that we're really not in a position we really want or could employ that many more employees to assist. So on this campus, more so than any other, safety is truly, truly a problem. Here are a few pictures here, and these pictures are also in the back. This is a few pictures just inside of our school here. This picture is taken from the rear of the building that we're in, looking at the Cape building. So you can see what kind of a walk that is. Luckily, there's a covered awning for the weather or the elements, but those are the only two buildings that have an awning. But that is quite a walk. If there's ever a time on this campus where there is an emergency and we need to lock the school down quickly, well, one, it's 22 doors. It's going to take a while to lock all the doors just in this building. Then you got to go to have somebody over in this building doing the same thing, this building and this building, okay? Here is, like I said, that walk to that building. The amount of times kids are out, they're out. This is where you came in the main office area. But, you know, we do have someone here that's checking IDs, but if someone decides they don't want to stop, sometimes there's not a whole lot that she can do about that, but ask them again and call our SRO as quickly as she possibly can. This is our science lab. It doesn't look real good. It doesn't look like a world-class school, and we do have a world-class school. The facility does not show it there. How many of you remember these hand washing stations? Well, they're still there in our Cape building. We're still trying to use these hand washing stations. They need to be updated. And parking. There was actually no special event, I don't believe, was there the day you took this? But this is kind of like parking daily. When you come into our school, you wouldn't get to the main office area. I came up here a couple of days ago to give a similar presentation here for the faculty and staff. And there's a sign, it's kind of up here, that says no parking beyond this point. I had to make a choice. Be late for my meeting or park next to the other 8 cars that were already up there. I parked next to the other 8 cars. Definitely not a parking space, but it's a space that through necessity we have begun to use. All right, after getting this feedback from our from the facility study, there were 3 options that we had, okay? The board studied these. Number 1, renovate the existing campus by using temporary mobile cottages staged throughout the campus. Mobile cottages, that's a fancy word for portable, okay? My last look at what they projected would cost for the portables, because they would have to take everybody out of this building to do it, about $1.8 million. And if we renovated and once construction was gone, that's that $1.8 million that leaves with those portables, okay? We prefer not to do that. Second option, construct a new high school on the existing site, utilizing phased demolition and construction. What is phased demolition and construction? Well, this stops us from having to get the portables, okay? If we begin, and I'll show you some pictures, there's room up here for the bulk of that school. And if we begin this process up here and put our core areas, make sure we have a place for the students to eat, make sure we have the media center there, and classrooms, get that built, move kids from this building into this building. We'll still be utilizing this. This building comes down and the remainder of the new building will be built. That's what is meant by phased demolition and construction. And then option 3, which there was little or no discussion on, was construct a new high school on a new site. You talk about a cost that will skyrocket because 1, you got to buy property. 2, all these fields, this, you got to recreate all of those. So that's another cost that puts it through the roof that we really did not need. We've got good property right here, and we have the space to do this. So of that, after consideration, what the board decided is the best, or what they felt was the best, to construct a new high school on the existing site. Because what happens also, and we're going to look at a price tag, would it be to renovate this, okay? If we renovated all of these buildings, one thing we don't fix, and what is that?
Old buildings.
There are definitely old buildings. We
Security?
fixed up on
Security.
Security, old buildings and definitely security. Because no matter how much we pay, it doesn't pull this building or that building or this building any closer to this building. So the students are going to spend the same amount of time outside between walking from class to class. All right. Try to move along, got a few more slides here. Initial capacity, conceptually, what this building could look like. Facing Summerlin Avenue here, right now the current school is about here. Bringing it close, right here on Summerlin Avenue, kind of gives a new iconic look from the road. All right. Initial capacity, 650, that can cover growth that we would have over the next several years. The core capacity is 800. I talked about core areas, media center, cafeteria. So 20 years from now, we outgrow this facility. There's always room you can add other classrooms on, but we don't have to add to these core areas, okay? That's part of the plan. As the school grows, if 20, 30 years from now need to add on, those spaces are there to accommodate as many as 800 students. Site circulation and parking. I showed you the picture of everybody parking up on the curb. That hopefully will go away. New entrance here, have ample parking for students. We also have parking here for faculty and staff and visitor parking. We also have parking over here, which will be in front of the gymnasium. We'll get a closer up look at that as well. Hall of Fame lobby. I always say this, Jay Hendricks, great guy. Jay gives me a hard time. He kind of heads up our Hall of Fame. We have lots of outstanding athletes in that Hall of Fame. But Jay keeps reminding me, he's got all that Hall of Fame paraphernalia at his house. Like, Gary, you got a place for me. So we want to keep that in mind and have a place for that as well. A lecture hall here. Right here, we could have the opportunity for a lecture hall. So right now, if you don't need a full assembly, but you know, opportunity to meet with just the senior class, you have a place you can do it without leaving the building and going to here, to the Fine Arts Center. Notice the Fine Arts Center is still there, okay? And the band and soccer practice field. If we move this here, we're going to lose where our band currently practices. But outside here, this is the band room. We'll get a close up. We have fields back here for practice as well. All right, I think I might skip one. All right, here's just a little close up of what that first floor looks like, but since these are smaller, I come look here. All right, coming in off of Summerlin Avenue, this is your main entrance to the school. To the right, you're gonna have your administration office, you're gonna have your guidance, and also we're gonna put some offices staggered throughout the school. So you don't have to have all your offices up front. You don't want your principal, your two assistant principals, your SRO, your athletic, everybody in front of the school, because you got the rest of the school back here. So if you can have an assistant principal here in a separate location, if there is an incident to respond to, they're a little bit closer, all right? On the left side, we have what is called our innovation studio, which will be our media center, okay? An opportunity for, you know, the infrastructure that is needed to accommodate 21st century learning. Come into this commons area, you walk down this hallway here, classrooms, 8 classrooms on this hallway. This is the first floor. This front building is a 2-story building. You go to the left, we have 8 classrooms here, 8 regular size classrooms, and you see a smaller classroom here and here that we use as well. Also, you have your health room and other areas up here as well. Move down here, we have a lecture hall here, and here our Panther Pavilion. Panther Pavilion will be our new cafeteria. That's what the students will eat. This stuff, our fancy name. We thought it sounded great, and you know what? You get in the Panther Pavilion, Innovation Studio, new school, that does a lot for kids' morale too. They feel real good about that. I love this outdoor classroom, this courtyard area. This courtyard is surrounded by the building on both sides. Right here, this is the fence. No one can get in there, okay? But you can get out. We have emergency panic bars for fire safety. If someone needs to evacuate, they can. Kids can use this to eat. They can take a class out, use this to eat out here, or take a class out here for outdoor learning. Currently, right now, a lot of students go out behind this building and eat. The area between this building and the Cape building with that long walkway. And it's fine, that works out well, but that is so open to anybody that decides to drive their car by to get out. Fortunately, we haven't had any big issues, but it could very well. This is rivalry week. We're playing another school, and they want to come and have a ruckus. We got kids back there, and they can drive on off. That stops that from happening. We're closed in here. I'm going to go to the next slide here to look at these areas here. Still on the first floor. These areas in pink, we kind of tag them as our Kate rooms, but there will be some Kate classrooms that won't necessarily be on that hallway. When I showed this to the high school teachers, I said, don't look and say, I'm gonna get this classroom because it's bigger. No classroom has been specified quite yet. This is the band room with access outside to get to the practice facility. We have the course room on this hallway as well. Here's our gymnasium. So although we're on the first floor, what is different about this gymnasium, you may have read, this is what is called a top-loading gymnasium. If you go in our gym right now for a basketball game or a volleyball game, when you walk in, you're right on the floor next to the court with the action. And that's really dangerous. If you got a small kid with you, or if you're with someone that doesn't move quickly enough, you can get run over, you get hit by a ball. But with a top-loading gym, it's kind of like a football field on the home side. You walk in, you're upstairs, and you walk down to your seat, so it takes you away from that action. So that's a good thing. So this is the first floor of the building, but you'll actually walk in and be at the top of the bleachers for our top-loading gym. What I also like, I think was a very good plan is, although there will be no classes held in this building, there will be in the Fine Arts Center. If they need to, this hallway is a straight line to connect here. So if they need to move to go from one place to another, and it is a rainy day, hey, here's a short way here, and also we can put an awning or something there to get over to the Fine Arts Center. Not many times. Right now, we go there every day. We have to. But here would be special occasions that we need to go to that particular building. Here is the lower level. I walked you in on the first level of the gym. On that lower level, we've had to add some locker room space. We've added sports programs over the years, and they will continue to grow. There are schools now that have lacrosse. Wrestling is very important, very popular. Students have asked in reference to that. If we get enough students as a sponsor, we're going on a wrestling team. Another reason to have an auxiliary gym, which is here. This is our main gym and our auxiliary gym. They are side by side, they connect. So we can do things like some of our other districts host tournaments and those types of things. Volleyball tournament going on here, volleyball games going on here. Opportunity to be able to host those types of things. And of course, we want to make sure when we added these locker rooms, we have ample for boys and girls, not just sports, but PE as well. Right now, our current athletic trainer who teaches training to students is in our Cape building, but has to make a very, very long walk to get to this athletic training room when he wants to model things there with his students. Over here, we have an opportunity to have in that same hallway, that classroom, but a short walk to get here to the athletic training room. And here we have a place we can have our locker room, our weight room. Right now, our weight room is on a stage. Had to do some repair work a couple of years ago because you're lifting weights on a stage and that floor really wasn't prepared for that. Although we put some other things down, that just really wasn't prepared. But to have a place that is made to be a weightlifting room. What might that gym entrance look like from the outside? Fix my next slide. It looks different from the street when you come in. Right now, it's more glass, more light, but the opportunity for to come up and know exactly where the gym is from the road. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. All right. Second floor, we've gone through the first floor. Second floor, not quite as many different types of places, but we do have our science labs up here. Science labs are built differently, okay? And one thing I think is important about our science lab that I want to say is that, we're teaching college courses here. And have conversations with Midlands Tech, and they say, well, there's some courses that, based upon your facility, we can't offer to your students. Well, I don't think that's good. I think that our students in Lexington 3 deserve every opportunity that any other student deserves anywhere else in the state. And if we can't provide that opportunity, I don't think that our facility needs to be the reason why. I don't think our facility needs to be the reason why. And that's a true story that we've had with Midlands Tech about that. Media center here, innovation studio here, main office area here, classrooms here and here, and of course I mentioned here the science labs. Outside really changes up Summerlin Avenue, what that may look like from the street. I do say these are conceptual drawings. Any changes that may be made probably won't greatly change the outside of that school, but just the size and build of some of those classrooms. I said this came with a price tag. And what I did now 2 weeks ago is try to get some updated numbers. If we were to renovate the high school, now primary school, $18 million to renovate. As you can see, there are 4 times as many buildings on this campus, so obviously it's going to be more. 2 years ago, because escalation happens over time, the cost of construction is going to continue to accelerate. It was about $4,000 or $5,000 less to renovate. But I said, let's get some modern numbers so we can compare apples to apples. To renovate these buildings, and bring them up to code, and that's very important. Because you say, well, you have to do everything. Well, if you do 50% of the assessed value of that building, you have to bring that entire building up to code. And what that means, our windows aren't up to code because of the size of the windows, in case they need to be used for emergency, to get out. Some of our doors aren't, definitely our lighting. And the thing is, when the building was built, they were code. But over so many years, the codes have changed multiple times. They've probably changed since I started this speech today. So just to make sure that we're up to code, that's what it would take to bring this building up to code. This is what it would take, 71 million, almost 72, to build a new. And if anyone in here has dealt with construction before, you know that construction costs are a lot more than new construction costs. I'm sorry, renovation costs are more than construction costs, because you got to move everybody out, you got to tear stuff down, you got to do asbestos abatement, which the cost of that is through the roof, then you got to rebuild again. So the cost is going to be a whole lot more. I think our kids deserve it, and I think you might have heard a number. If you take the primary school and the high school, what is needed is about $90 million. But I've heard people say, hey, they're building a $90 million high school. Well, there are people that are, but we're not. 72 million is what it's going to take to build this high school, okay? With 18 million going towards the primary school. Those are the facts. Financial impact. I said it comes with the cost, pardon me. And I don't want to stand here and give you facts and pretend that it does not, okay? I'm going to talk primarily about the cost of the homeowner. And you may have some additional questions. We want to do our best to answer those. And I wish I'd given everybody homework and said, bring in your tax bill, okay? Because I think many people would be surprised when they look at their tax bill, how much of it actually goes to schools. Okay? It's very, very little. And the reason are two things. One is a penny sales tax, and two is a different penny sales tax. One penny sales tax goes to operation, and homeowners don't pay any. So if you look on your tax bill when you go home, or you can pull it up on the internet tonight, anybody, it's public, Lexington County Assessor's Office, you'll see, I'm gonna make up a number, $1,200 for operations, but under it, you're gonna see a credit for $1,200 that offsets that. Well, let me take that back. If you live in Lexington County, you will see that tax credit, okay? Also, they have a penny in Lexington County also for debt services, okay? And that's a credit as well. So when you go back, I pulled a few as I prepared $100,000 homes, and I've learned that the average home in our district is valued at about $71,000. I looked at a $100,000 home, because if you know what it's for, $100,000, you can kind of multiply that by 2 if you have a $200,000 home. But $26 a year was what was being paid currently. Okay? That's going to be a change, but it's going to come out to about a 78 cents a day increase on a $100,000 home. All right, and you can do the math. That's on a $100,000 home. So if you got a $200,000 home, you can do the math on that as well. But I think about what I get for that. I mean, I get to bring my children get to come to school here. They can ride the bus, as they were going to do tomorrow because I got a meeting, but they won't now. If they choose to do so. My daughter's taking college courses, and she doesn't have to pay for those courses. She's got a Chromebook that we didn't have to come out of pocket for. She's got college textbooks that are very, very expensive that we didn't have to come out of pocket for. And she's going to leave here with a world-class education. And I tell you what, 78 cents a day, an increase, that's an increase. If I can come into the parking lot and just pay by the day and give Miss Bryant $1 and get change back, I think that's a great day. I like to finish this, and I talked about that legacy of living this to these students. Every now and then I fall in love with a picture. I had a different one I used a few years ago. But I look at this. These kids are so happy, they're so excited. And I think about, as they progress through our schools, what is the future going to look like for them academically? What is it going to look like for them for the courses that they take? And what kind of facility is it going to take to teach them? But more importantly, we really want to keep them safe. I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure we have a safe place for them. Questions? I want to open the floor up for you. Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to thank you and the board for setting this meeting up and several others that y'all set up. I think it's a great idea to allow the public to come into a forum like this and ask questions and get up to speed on what the project actually is. I tried to read everything in the local papers and one of the things that caught me before was the difference between the renovation project, and I just put the total in my head, versus the new construction project. And at that time, I was thinking like 58 or 59 for the renovation.
Yes.
Okay, and now I'm seeing 67 for the renovation. Is there
Yes.
something that changed in there? And one other thing I wanted to comment
Okay.
about too, before I forget it, is the fact you hired a consultant. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're independent and could provide you a really good perspective on everything. Just thinking what an architect or a contractor should, so that's very good to do.
Well, thank you. We knew we needed a long-term plan. Now, my major was in civil engineering technology, but I never worked in it. I could not walk through the school and tell the needs. And there are not many individuals that are in our schools could, but we knew we needed a professional to really take a look and talk about a long plan, not just for this building, but for all of our buildings. So thank you. The question was the change. Yes, I think it was around 57, 58 million at that particular time. But in the paper, it also said that that was a 2016 figure, and I think the term where it increases that was used over time, can't remember the term. But we knew that number would change.
Appreciation or whatever.
Yeah. Well, inflation is definitely a word. Escalation, that was the term that was used, okay? The escalation of approximately 4 to 5% a year. We put that in the paper and we said, well, will it, has it? I'm not the one to make this, so I wanted some more finite numbers. And there's some things that have changed. One, there's a lot of construction going on, so construction costs are going up. There was a time when, I mean, back in about 2008, when things weren't as good and contractors were looking for work and prices, boards were going out and getting referendums for, I say, $80 million, and then the projects were coming in 63 and 64 because of the market. But the market has changed, so a lot of the costs have went up because it's a lot more competitive now. It's less, well, it's competitive for them, but they're going out and getting jobs. So that's part of it. The other two is that number was just 2 years old. And the other part of it is too, both of these numbers that I just showed, whether it's new construction or whether it's renovation, if this is not successful, those prices are going to go up as well. And in the state, in Lexington County, and it's different in every county, in Lexington County, the only time that we can go out for a bond referendum is November in even numbered years, okay? Their district, they'll do one in March, they'll do one in June. I've seen them have elections on a Saturday, and all that's legal, but it depends on where you are. But that was just the 2 years, just the overtime, the inflation, et cetera, how that number's changed. So the numbers have actually gotten a little bit closer together. Understand? Did I answer your question? All right, thank you.
What would that put our bond millage rate at? It's currently at 70 point something. This year's, I think it's going up 7 millage points for the school bonds. It's going up to 77.6. I checked with Lexington and City today.
I have two people here. One is my director of finance, and I also have Mike Gallagher. Mike Gallagher is our financial advisor. He works with several districts. So just in case I got a question like that, which I think I know the answer to, if you could speak a little bit about the millage increase. One of you thinks about 90 mills, but one of you could speak about that.
Total would be 142, but then when you factor in the impact of the sales tax credit in Lexington County, it'd be approximately 97 mills.
I'm sorry, I can't hear that.
97.
So we'd go up to 97, and how many years would we,
25-year bond.
25 years, we would have that increase?
Would we have an
I mean,
increase?
we would be looking at that if we didn't borrow any other money.
Yes,
But we
and one thing to
probably
say,
would.
even with our past, one thing about the timing too, because other projects are actually falling off of our books. But what happened, it would initially be a 25-year bond, but what happens is kind of like refinancing a house. When there's a better rate out there, we have financial advisors to help us take advantage of those rates as well. And I thought about something I did not say. I talked about that increase of 78 cents a day. Something I want to be clear about. That increase is if you live in the town, if you live in the county of Lexington, or the county of Saluda. The increase will be the same. That's because we maxed out that penny already. So there is no, as far as the increase is concerned, there will be no benefit of living in one county versus the other. That increase will be the same.
And that would be for small businesses and homes, right? And rental homes.
Okay,
That-
that, I know homeowners, definitely, but one of the, 'cause I think the operations credit does not go to businesses, correct? And as far, and from what I looked today, from some of the, that I pulled, but they do get somewhat of a credit. I don't think it's as much, but they do get an offset credit on the bonds, is that correct?
What about the rental homes? Because
Rental
we paid
property,
6% on that
6%.
too.
On debt service, they do. They do not on school operating.
Not on school operating.
Services is what pays for
Hmm?
it. Services pays for
Referendum.
Yeah, debt services is what this comes out of.
Yeah, this
Yes.
is debt
it.
service.
This is debt service, yes.
So there would be some,
Yeah, they get credit already, but like he said, it's already exhausted with the current millage. So this is dollar for dollar, new additional mills we'll be adding. And we'll be adding approximately 71.2 mills, and we're currently at 70.8. So it's about double, but there's no credit. Right now, you're seeing a credit. So whatever that number is sitting on your bill in that first line, it's about double that. You'll still get your credit as long as collections are still good, and they've been increasing throughout Lexington County. So it's about a double for debt service increase to what you're currently paying, but you will still get the debt service credit that you're currently getting.
Good answer?
yeah.
All right.
But
I just, are we gonna make this information available to the general public, maybe on the website or in the Twin City?
Well, it's
Because
on-
I know a lot of people, they
It-
wanna know what's this gonna do to my tax
It's
bill.
been on there for about 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks?
Yes, ma'am, we have information about the
How much it would increase our taxes.
mills. It is, there's an actual example on our
There's a chart
website.
that says if it is valued at this is how much the millage would be, this is the increase. It is on our website under capital
It's
program,
under building projects.
building projects on the right side of our page.
Michael can help.
And that's another reason why we're doing this now, because we do know there may be questions that we want to be able to answer. Yes, sir, Mr. Berry.
would you just mention that obviously everybody likes to pay things off and did not have any debt, that for quite a large number of years now, our debt service has really been minuscule. You know, as far as what we've been paying, the penny sales tax has been taking care of most of it. And we've been keeping these buildings looking the way that they're looking now. So, you know, just kind of looking back, we've had a long time here since we built these other schools that we really haven't had our millage increase very much, except back when Act 388 came in, and we had to really raise our millage, or otherwise we were gonna have to be letting people go, and we were gonna have things we were not gonna be able to take care of. So I'm just saying that, you know, I pay taxes too, and I don't like to pay any more than I have to, but then I look back at what we haven't had to do and how we still have been able to maintain what we've got. And with what he was saying today with these kids right here, the day that this was on the internet, I was sitting in my office and pulled this up on my computer to watch whenever we were awarded this. And I'll just tell you, I'm getting sentimental as I get older. But I sat there and had tears of joy of seeing what these kids were so proud of and what they have. And just going forward and seeing what some of our neighboring districts are able to afford us, their students, I'd like to be able to do the same thing. And I think that's a lot of what this is all about, and just what Dr. Geary alluded to today, is trying to do what we can to prepare for our students. And one thing that I have always harped on, and he knows what I'm fixing to say, is about the outside of our schools and what they look like. These little dwarf bushes we had out here in front of the high school, I said, we got to do something. We got to make it look better. You go to our elementary school and the middle schools where we've had more upgraded landscaping. So we've gone out and we've done some of that. But where I'm going with that is, when I'm a kid and I'm going to school and I go walk into this box that almost looks like I don't really mean to use this word, but like a prison. But when you come and you see how good it looks, it makes you feel better. And to me, you know, I think that's a lot of what we're trying to do. If you look at these buildings, the architects have done a great job. And this is not final, this is just what we're looking at. to walk up to that gymnasium and see that big panther through that glass window. You ride through Lexington, that's the first thing I look through when I ride through Lexington, and I see the big wildcat through that window. It makes you feel proud about what you have. So I'm just talking about,
Appreciate it, sir.
you know, of what we haven't had to do in previous years, even though our millage has increased somewhat. I know it's a lot, but, you know, I think it's something that's well worth it.
And Mr. Beard, we got some shrubbery out here for you. Had a personal conversation with the architect. And I have a 6% property, rental property. It's not even counted. So I get that impact when it goes up. And I learned it several years back comparing the house I lived in that was valued more to the rental property and trying to understand it. So my lesson was a life lesson when I studied the bill, but I do understand what that impact is. But for several years, also, when we weren't going out using that money, you don't have to look back too far on your tax bill. It was zero what we're paying for our schools. And really and truly, it's going to cost to really provide what we need to provide for our students. There is going to be a cost to it. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to reiterate that we've looked at these numbers for 2 years. I mean, this is not something we just decided last week, oh, we need to build a school. I mean, we've had these numbers starting in 2015, and we've wrestled with what we need to do and what's going to be best, and can we renovate this. So, I mean, we've really thought about it. It's not a snap over the night decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, immediately whenever we start talking about this, people in the community immediately think about, okay, what's it going to cost me? And that is absolutely something, you know, we've thought about as well. But also, I like to, I'm one of these glass half full kind of girls, and so I like to think about what is there to gain by this? What's in it for me? And so I'd like for us to also think about that. And, you know, absolutely, this comes at a cost to us, but it's the future, and it's think about the impact that this could have on our community. Not just, you know, the nice facilities that we would have for our kids to go to school, and the pride that's going to be instilled in those kids when they walk through those doors, and you know, how good are they going to feel about going through those doors and receiving a 21st century education in our district. But also, you know, think about why people don't want to move to our community right now. I love this school district, and I am one of the biggest promoters about the education that my kids are receiving in this district. But I have to be the first to tell you that people don't move into our district because of the perception that outsiders have of this district. You know, if we have these world-class schools, the facade and then the education that will, you know, the kids are getting there, that's going to draw more people to our community, and that's going to help. That's going to draw more industry into our community as well. We already have some good forward momentum going in our community already, but I just think that this is going to be a catalyst for even more growth in our community.
So I think it was well said, and I agree. I know for a fact there are people that live in our community that for whatever reason choose not to send their kids to our school. Well, I can tell you, we've seen what we're doing with the kids when they come. We've seen almost like a 90% graduation rate, which is well over the state average. We've seen growth in our scores, we've seen finance, so we know we're doing great things from our CAPE programs and the offerings with certification and being work ready. But that's a good thing. But people don't always see that one that we on television too. What they do see, and a lot of times people make judgments with their eyes. That's what they see. This is a bad place? No, it's not a bad place. But is it state of the art? Is it the safest place? When you leave, to walk to your car, if you had a chance to walk from here to the gym, or go to the CAPE building, and just take a look at how much time you're spending outside between them, I think safety is one thing we really can't put a price tag on. And if we did, even if we could fix this building and renovate it for a lot less, we still have not fixed our overall issue of safety. When I mentioned safety, I didn't mention it at the time, but I did see our SRO nod her head when I said this of all of our schools, the one is our biggest concern about as far as facilities are concerned. Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad you talked about the safety because I see a lot of pretty glass in here, and
Yes.
And we talked, I think you said there's like 22 entrances
Yes.
now currently in this high school. How many actual entrances would be in the proposed new high school?
Okay.
And how would we lock those doors?
Okay. I don't know how many doors are in the school, But,
I'm talking about the
Okay.
outside entrances.
all right, give me 1 minute. I'll do that again. All right. I don't know, I could probably go and count indoors, but the thing is, I don't have to because the kids don't have to leave this building during the day. The only reason I mentioned the doors, those were doors that we had to leave open throughout the day to go from building to building. Right now, and I'm glad you said that because I probably wasn't clear. Right now, a student does not have to leave outside of that building to get anywhere on this campus. We're no longer using this on a daily basis. It's a new gymnasium. Our arcades come inside our academic wing. I remember when I was in high school, we called this, it was the career center. Some people called it the vocational. It was vocational when we were here. And sometimes there were some stigmas with kids that went to the vocational. I mean, some people, those kids aren't going to college. But we found now that Kate is for everybody. Career and technology, our brightest and sharpest kids are taking those courses, and people are coming out of our K programs, and they're work ready and can make more money than people with 4-year degrees. We're so fortunate this year to be able to start welding, and that class is full. And those kids are going to come out, some of them possibly making $60,000 and $70,000 out on welding. And if they go self-employed, they can make more than that. So, but to answer your question, I don't know the doors yet, but it's not a bigger concern to me since we can lock those doors, and this will be the only door that is open during the day. That way we can secure that entrance.
The only time that they would still have to go out for like baseball practice and stuff like that.
Well, after school, yeah.
I know, I'm
yeah.
talking about during the day, they don't do that during PE, they don't go out for like tennis and different things. They do have to
Ms.
go
Bryant,
out.
how often do your PE classes go outside? They probably do go out at some
They
point.
do it sometimes,
Yes.
go out for those things, but most of the time they're inside.
I know we used to go out.
Teacher.
Yeah, I go outside and play, and we're not trying to stop. If we got a PE teacher in here, so we're not trying to say that if the kids need to go out to a field for PE, that we're not going to give them an opportunity to do that. Because as you see, even behind the gym here, we have a new field here too. That's going to be a place for our soccer. We're trying our best to utilize our resources. Soccer, a place to practice, has been a challenge. And we're using this old high school right there on Summerlin Avenue now in the spring. We've opened it up for soccer practice for our kids because that's the place we have, so they're not going to the rink place to practice. But there are no locker rooms over there for those kids to put a change into.
Where are the tennis courts? They should be back behind the little area.
Yeah, they're back here. You
But
can't
we're
see
not
them
touching
from.
those, right?
No, ma'am, we're not
That's
touching those
new.
tennis. That's new. We're not touching the tennis court, so that's the room we're stopping. And we're not touching that fine art. We're not tearing down the fine art center.
What
okay?
about football stadium?
Football stadium is going to stay. There may be some upgrades to the concession area needs to be upgraded. We've had talk if we can have some sort of a field house for kids and that could also double as a place to enter. We know we need to do some upgrades to our baseball and our softball field with those dugouts. And if you go to the softball field, they don't really have dugouts. They have a chain link fence on the side where the girls sit in. I think that's just unacceptable. We have dugouts at the baseball field, but they really need to be upgraded. Not as much work at the baseball. We did some stuff there a few years back, but also at the softball field to make sure they have a comparable area to play that our baseball has.
Is that included in this?
That is included, yes, ma'am. That is included. Yes, ma'am.
So Gary, I had an opportunity to talk with Seth Duncan, our assistant town manager recently, about growth in Batesburg-Leesville. And, you know, for years, they said it was coming, it's coming, it's coming. Well, we kept waiting, and quite got it yet. But I will tell you, he sent me some figures. And from January to August of this year, they have already had 14 permits pulled for new construction housing. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot if you're in Lexington. But in Batesburg-Leesville, that's a whole community. Also, in the years, and that's just from January to August, if you look back the last 3 years, there's been some growth, but you still haven't reached the 14, say, for the last 3 years that you've reached in the first 8 months of the year. So growth is coming to Batesburg-Leesville. Hopefully those 14 new homes will have children. If not all of them, a good number. Maybe they'll have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Be fruitful and multiply. That's what we want. So we really need to think about not only the schools and the school district, but also our community. And how can we entice and encourage people to come and be a part of the community that we all know and love, and to raise their families here and to be very productive citizens and be a part of us, if we can't provide for them the facilities and the schools and the courses and course offerings that they can get if they just stop a little further down the road. Now, we don't want to be another Lexington. I think we all probably agree on that. But we do also understand the importance of having a good infrastructure, growth and development, controlled growth and development in our community. And having great schools and great facilities can only enhance that within the community.
Thank you, Ms. Fox. And I started to say something a little earlier. I kind of got sidetracked when I talked about people that are choosing not to come here. I think build it and they will come. I think there are going to be some people that are going to take a look at this and this community and their commitment to education and this facility. And I think we're going to win some of those students back. I think they're going to want to be a part of this. They see instructionally through this Paramedics Finest, through the programs we're offering, through 1-to-1. And I can tell you, they classify us as a small rural district. But you don't see many small rural districts able to do a lot of the things that our district has done and is doing. So, I mean, I commend the community for your support in that, and our Board of Trustees for your leadership. I believe that build one day will come, yes.
I'd like to add to that because I think because of the elementary being awarded Palmetto's Finest, that the accolades that came from that, we'll see the benefits of new housing. We actually have some Lexington County builders currently building in Batesburg, Leesville that never came this far west, which I thought I would never see in Batesburg, Leesville, putting up 4, 6, or 8 homes. But on another side note, this is the first time I've seen your presentation, and I just want to say I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Thank the administration, thank the board for this foresight that they've seen. And from what I have seen, I think we're getting a lot of bang for our buck. I think that's the bottom line. And for a couple like Judy and I who raised kids here, who did very well, they were both honor graduates in college where they chose to go. They got a great education here. You know, are we willing as a legacy to continue that for our young people? Yes, we are. We looked at it, it's cheaper than a McDonald's hamburger per day. You know, people, we blow a lot of money. That's the bottom line. So, you know, to invest in the future of our young people, to give us these state-of-the-art facilities, y'all have done a good job in the presentation.
Thank you.
Three more questions if everybody,
Sure.
they
Okay.
might want to know if you said.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
we're at about an hour. I'm gonna let you ask, but at any point, no, I'm gonna let you ask. And there may be a question everybody wants to know, but feel free to stick around. You can look at pictures. We have our financial advisor, we have some board members. The people you want to ask individual questions, I'll give you the opportunity to do that, but I will continue. Yes.
If the bond referendum does go through, when would you start this project? And which
I've
project would
always-
start first, and how long would it take?
I am so glad you're here, because that is what I was supposed to say and did not say. I need to add that slide, because I keep thinking I'm going to remember to say it. Projects will start, groundbreaking will start summer of 2019, which is the end of this school year, is when it will start. Both projects at both schools will begin, okay? It's not like we have to do the primary school and wait till we're done, and then you do the, with construction, we can start both projects at the same time. Now, I guess your next question might be, when will they end, okay? So, I don't remember the year, but our current freshman class will be the first class to graduate high school and have been in that building. It would not have, obviously would not have been in that building the entire time. But all of our 8th graders will, they won't be in it, but our 9th graders will graduate with this, when this new building is here. 2022.
22.
And where would you move everybody around while you were making this main construction? Maybe you covered it, and maybe I just didn't get it.
You know what? I've seen it and talked about it like 10 times, so I get it. So this is the first time hearing it, so I understand. All right, what we're talking about here, this is the building we're in, right here. All right, and this is probably, we're about right here in that high area right there. So, phase 1 would be, they would start here, in this lane here, to build that building that we talked about, and they would have to build the core areas. They need to build enough areas so that they can tear this down and have school here, here, and those other buildings, okay? I had the opportunity to work somewhere else. We went through a similar project. They put up construction fencing so the construction could go in a safe way and school can continue. Once they build part of this building, they won't build it all. They'll build classrooms, they'll build a cafeteria, they will build a gymnasium, and they will build a media center. They will tear this down because those buildings are in here. And actually, they may not even finish the gym at the first phase. I'm not sure about that because the gym's here. But everything that's in this building, they will make sure they can house it in this building. They will build, then they will tear this down. They will get the land, grade the land, and they will build the remainder of that building. Okay? Once that building goes down, this gym goes away. All right? So that's why we don't need the mobile cottages. Cape building does not go away. I didn't talk about that. And the board is continuing to have conversations about what could become of that Cape building. We know we need to do some work there. One of our possibilities we talked about is definitely moving our transportation office from where it is because it's new entrance. There's place in that current building to have transportation. Then it takes the view of the buses off Summerlin Avenue, with places back here, or not there, I'm sorry, here, to park those buses for a new area. Anyone else?
So if I understood correctly, we'll have portable classrooms out there too, even with the new building, or that won't be necessary?
Not under the proposed plan. Not under the proposed
It's only
plan.
for the renovating.
Yes, we're gonna build, move in, tear down, build, move in, tear down. And you know, the thing about portables, there's some teachers who have taught in portables, and they'll tell you they love it. They say, I'm out there in the portable, nobody bothers me, and the biggest perk is they can control their own air, and their AC. It's not on a system. So we see the bills skyrocket, but they're comfortable. So, you know, can you teach in a portable? Yeah, they're not the most conducive places to learn, especially when you got storms coming in like the one that's about to come in. It can be done, but the thing is, you pay for these portables, and usually they build these portables and bring them to you when you need them. But afterward, what happens with those portables? We don't really have a need for them. Yes, ma'am.
Well, one thing people need to keep in mind from a nurse standpoint, and my kids have allergies, if they were to do these portables, and even the way the buildings are set up now, my daughter is allergic to food, severely allergic, anaphylactic shock, could die. She has to carry an EpiPen because a lot of her classes are in the Cape building, so the nurse can't get to her, so she's had to inform her teachers how to do the injections because there's no way a nurse could even get to all those cottages. So I like the option too.
So our nurses station is here now, and the Cape building is here. If you're at this end, this used to be ag. She wasn't in ag, was she?
She's ag.
It's a long walk. Well, I showed you the walk from here to here, but by the time you truck it through here, down here, you're right. The response time is going to be greatly increased for those types of emergencies to happen. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. Another thing, and it sounds small, but I can tell you what has changed. It seems that what is different now than when I was small, it seems like there are a lot more allergies and things that people, that are allergic to. And this school is one of the very few schools you walk through and they got carpeted hallways. That's really kind of rare. Usually it's a tile or a terrazzo. And one of those reasons is because of the allergens and stuff that get in carpet. So am I saying to be a carpet-free facility? No, because there's a certain quietness and acoustics that come with having carpet. But some of those areas are important. I think the other school I can think of offhand with carpet still in it is one of those wings in the primary school, their real wing in the primary school. So, any other questions? I thank you so much for coming. I know that's a lot of information. We do have stuff on our website. We will continue to update that. If the question wasn't answered, reach out to us and we'll do our best to help you, okay? We'll stick around for a while. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.